Okay.
And then this stuff does have more perspective. It has like a horizon line.
Well, in the video.
So my plans for this exhibition, which will be in the Lawson gallery with the golden ceiling on the top, is going to be an immersive print installation. So I'll be using screen prints as my wallpaper. The intention there is to have prints be the main attraction or the main feature. There will be some video work that will draw viewers in, but primarily it'll be a room filled with salon-styled prints from my back catalog and some new video installation work. So I went to public school and I didn't have an art program, but in fourth grade I had a bilingual class that I was put in as my homeroom class, and it was there that I discovered that I had the most friends. I know that's not a coincidence because I felt the most comfortable, I think, growing up in a Spanish-speaking family. And in school, like, I put on this public face or persona in a lot of senses where I'm trying to negate that kind of upbringing or try to assimilate somehow. And my teacher encouraged me to make art because she realized I was shy and that this was a way that I could express myself and maybe make friends. And so I remember feeling the most comfortable in fourth grade and then having the spark ignite in fourth grade. And I didn't revisit that until college when I felt frustrated and felt like I had to find a direction in life. So I think I discovered then that I turned to art for my self-expression. I'm a visual artist working primarily in printmaking, painting, and digital animation. I turned to printmaking as my escape from graphic design and into the world of fine arts. But also, being the art student on the path to self-discovery that I was, I realized how printmaking connected me to the social history of Chicano art. That printmaking was where Chicano artists gave a voice to their communities. It's where they could address issues through art that encouraged people to participate in their government. I was also motivated by a tangential association I made while talking to my mom about our neighborhood cat situation. I told her that I began regarding their dependence on my mom for food and shelter as a nuisance, and made the argument that they posed a threat to our economic security, and that they were going to continue to reproduce until we could no longer support ourselves, which led me down a path to inventing a mythology that addressed social issues regarding race and immigration theory using migrant cats as avatars for Central American immigrants.
That's 4 feet.
I decided the way I wanted to address the loaded subject of immigration in a way that focused primarily on images, that there would be no legible text, and also acknowledged and reflected on the art history of the American continent. In my research, I came across the 15th century Mesoamerican codices, which were painted manuscripts painted on fig tree bark paper, and were eventually seized by the Spanish conquistadores. This was how important events and ceremonies were documented in the ancient Americas. This became the definitive model for the way that I wanted to document stories of migration from Latin America into the United States, as it would continue a tradition of storytelling from the ancient Americas, and it would give me the ability to preserve important cultural events as abstracted mythologies, and encourage multiple perspectives and interpretations on complex issues regarding race and identity. I decided I wanted to subvert the predator-prey relationship, and that the motif of a rat, which carried with it negative associations, was the best approach to depicting narco-traffickers in the story of migrant cats. These were large rodents that worshipped and were in the business of distributing cheese to their gods. Here they are journeying across the river. I continued to depict different scenes of struggle of the migrants journeying into the U.S., reflecting the obstacles to cross over into the United States. Anthropomorphic felines, canine guardians, and various animal archetypes told stories of human smuggling, drug trafficking, and human rights cases along the U.S. and Mexican border. I learned to transition my artwork into video using the same approach to the Mesoamerican Codex. However, with the video, the story is unfolded through sound and movement, which is quite different than the static print image. So Sound and movement is a big driver of the animation work. And so I was experimenting with different animated backgrounds and sound effects. And admittedly, it can get a little overwhelming when the video is simultaneously moving, and some of the flashing graphics can cause a bit of anxiety. Hasta la costa is a phrase that's intentionally provocative and riffing off hasta la vista. Casta refers back to the Spanish caste system that was implemented during colonial Spanish America, which set up socio-racial classification system and class hierarchy. The caste system here is being recalled to reflect the nature of the treatment of minority communities, and specifically those undocumented citizens targeted by ICE. More recent narrative screen prints depicting Black Lives Matter protests. And recently, I've been transforming the work using a more graphic style, aligning with the graphics of early 1990s and late 80s arcade games. My creative motivation is not to, look down at anyone or poke fun at their struggle, but it's instead to try to, it's a way of grieving through humor, and that's like the history of comedy too, is you set up, a tense situation and then you follow through with the punchline. And so in some ways I hope to give people a grievance or an opportunity to laugh at hardships, and maybe that's a way of having a dialogue rather than ignoring it and holding it up and letting it get all tense. So I try to provide that kind of space.